Clinton from Real Estate TV SGB, which is Southern Georgian Bay. Today I have Clinton from Harper Home Inspection Services with us. Thank you for joining me. As we can see on your t-shirt there, so yeah. I love it. So Clinton, I would love for you to kind of share with the public today why it's important to get a home inspection. Please.
You know what, there's always multiple sides of different cases, I guess, if you will. I work with a lot of new home buyers. They really like it because sometimes when you're going into the home, even if you are very familiar with homes, buildings, cottages, whatever, sometimes it can be overwhelming because you have plans and ideas or you're getting pulled different directions. So first time home buyers, I also walk through a lot where, education process is important.
Like where the water shut off is.
Oh, absolutely. We actually do a service now that we go back and once we're, I guess, the homeowner is taking possession, if it gets to that point, I go back in and, kind of show them how to set everything up. Yeah, so that's been great. A lot of new homes, because after COVID, there was quality control issues. And when you're spending a lot of money on a home, you want to make sure that it's built properly. And again, sometimes, even when I bought my own homes, I've always had an inspector double check me as well. So
I love that.
It's like a safety net, right? Like
it is.
It's a big investment and normally most expensive purchase of your life. And
and
it's nice to have it.
Make sure that
you have that peace of mind. Different scenarios too, right? Everybody's a little different, but
absolutely.
Yeah.
And I think we saw during COVID, the whole manic or pandemic, it was crazy, right? Like people were just jumping in, buying homes, almost fist fighting in the driveway to, this is my house. It was crazy.
Right.
30 offers. And so we were buying homes without home inspections.
Right.
And get in there and
just to get in the door, or maybe, sometimes the grass looks greener, but not always is greener on the other side. So it's nice to have that kind of a security blanket as well. But yeah, it's funny. COVID messed up the world in different ways, right?
It really did. I know that I read somewhere that the Canadian government was thinking of, because, of the mishaps that happened during, the COVID madness and all the buying and panic buying, not panic buying. But anyway, that they were saying, well, they were going to make it mandatory for home inspections. And I don't love that, only because, not because I think you should always get a home inspection, but I don't love that it removes our democracy and freedom of choice, right?
Absolutely, right? That's kind of why we got this far. And you know what? And I see it all the time. And sometimes during COVID, there wasn't availability. You have to go in the right conditions and, check off the right criteria, right? And I've been called in actually afterwards when they want to start going in and doing some renovations. And then you find some interesting patchwork and, especially if you're I do various different properties from cottages, farmhouses, regular homes, condos. So you get to see kind of the closer, I guess, around Lake Simcoe area, that type of thing. There's a lot of kind of conversions, and not always the conversions have been done properly, right? Or
so you mean like an addition has been added on?
Or addition on an addition on an addition with the roof, and
cottages.
Exactly. And we do have, we have a cottage up north as well, and it's been added on, I don't know, 4 times, not by us, just by generations before us. So as long as you know what you're getting into and kind of know what is there and structurally everything's sound, then anything can be changed, anything can be altered. It's just whether the funds allow it, right? So
of course, but at least if they're getting the home inspection with you, and you could say, well, listen, here's the situation. You're probably looking at, a $25,000 fix right off the hop. Do you still want to move forward with the purchase of this house? They are making a sound decision at that point. They've been educated by you, right?
And you know what? Sometimes it's hard to get in those nooks and crannies, but we use really, really high-tech equipment. So everything drones and thermal cameras, imaging, and moisture meters, that type of stuff, right? So if we can't find it, then it's been hidden pretty well, right? So
talk to me about your drone. What exactly is that, and what could buyers kind of, how would that help them?
You know what? It really came from my kids, really. I think we're all, we don't really
Chinese,
grow up.
yeah.
We're all children inside, right? So
Right.
when they said, "Okay, Dad, can you help me fix my RC cars?" And I'm like, "Oh, sure, we'll help you fix that." And they're like, "You know what? You definitely need drones. It's so much safer for you." And to be honest, it really is. I can get really, really high-tech pictures from way up, 1,500 feet and zoom right in that I couldn't necessarily get if I was trying to stand on the roof and look over top either, right? So
what would
never
you be
mind during
looking-
winter.
Sorry, Quentin, I didn't
No,
mean to interrupt you. What would you be looking for, like chimney repair, obviously,
Absolutely.
state of the tiles?
Absolutely. And you know what? It depends on, like, sometimes you can see, I found one yesterday, the whole roof was redone, but one section was starting to curl on, like, just a couple little edges right beside the flashing of the home. And not necessarily a big issue if you catch it now, but they obviously had no idea. And I might not have seen it if I was hanging over the edge looking down, right? Like, so it's really, really handy. And then what's nice about the drone, it's super HD, so I zoom it in on a big screen, and I really look and analyze it. So that's really half the time, right?
And that's
Which is-
important because you know how many times I've been on my roof? Never, right?
It's kind of hard.
Right.
And some of them have, especially the older homes, they have quite a pitch, right? And they're
Yeah.
quite a slope, so...
So it's safer for you, and it seems like it's actually.
It is.
better
I do
for
both.
the-
I do basically cover all the bases, but majority of the time I can't get better pictures while holding a ladder or holding on to something and reaching.
Of course.
The drone hovers right there, perfect, and I can
Yeah,
zone.
you're getting all
Yeah.
the coverage kind of thing.
Absolutely, yeah. And you know what? Really, really good high quality photos that can be enlarged and enhanced. So that's also important too, right?
Talk to me. What was the thermal imaging piece of apparatus that you're working with? What's that all about?
Yeah, we have a couple, but what it essentially does is, I think it gained more traction 10 years ago when home audits were being done, and how do you properly see heat loss from your windows and doors or that type of thing. So we always really started doing that, and then I just implemented it into this business, which really, really is key for me, because it can tell me from the outside where the heat loss is, either in the summer or the winter, because we have different range scales, so
Of course, yeah.
it's easier to see. And then we can actually see if there's a leak or if there's a heat loss out of the roof and why that might be, or if there's insulation. Yeah, and I use it in, actually one place I use it a ton is inside the electrical panel box, especially with circuit fuses. Sometimes before, say they've been tripped a few times or many times,
Okay.
being overloaded, it kind of wears it out. So you can actually see a different heat thermal signature from it. Yeah, so it kind of gives you a little forethought saying, okay, maybe this panel is worn out, or maybe it's not, or,
But you wouldn't be able to see with the naked eye, right?
Absolutely
If you're
not,
looking
no.
at it, you wouldn't know.
Exactly, and I do it on all my water tests as well. When I run all the bathrooms, so if there is a leak, it can pick up the different temperature in the water, in the pipe. So if you run just hot, then it can pick it up through the walls if there is a leak or not what. So that's also important to find too.
100%.
Yeah.
Cha-ching, right? 'Cause that could be
Exactly, and you know what?
expensive.
Things leak and things add
Sure
up.
they do.
Absolutely,
Yeah.
and you know what? Also in the basement, it's super important because it would, if there's a leak in the basement, it would show up kind of on the colder spectrum. So
Right.
you try to kind of look for that, and then combined with my wireless moisture meter probes, that type of stuff, we do our best to check off all the bases and.
Yeah.
You know.
Because, I mean, let's face it. You're not Superman, and you don't have X-ray vision. I think it was Superman, right, that had X-ray vision?
I think so.
I'm not a
Yeah,
movie
it sounds pretty good to me.
But anyway, you don't have X-ray vision. I think
Exactly,
that's what
right.
we do know.
But
So
you know what? It does
please-
help with those kind of
Looks
equipment. It does
beyond.
let me look into the walls or behind the
gives you
scenes a little
that
further.
X-ray
Yeah, exactly.
Vision kind of thing.
And you know what? It's not necessarily a deal breaker because often the homeowners come back to me and they're like, wow, that's great. I have another property. Can you inspect there for me? I know you found this in my home when I sold it, but it really
Yeah.
gains me traction in business that way because people actually like to know what they're up against, especially in this climate. It changes one week to another, day to day by the time you look outside.
Yeah,
It's crazy,
all
so-
over. It's raining today.
Yeah, but I'm sure you've seen all that throughout different homes, and every property you go into is different, right?
It really is.
Yeah.
So let's talk about like what areas do you work? I know that you and I have done home inspections, but just for the public, because I'm going to be linking Clinton's info below just for anybody who needs a home inspection from an amazing home inspector.
Wonderful. Well, wonderful. Thank you.
But yeah, so what areas do you kind of cover, Clinton?
And that basically comes down to that as well. I don't like to, I guess, over advertise and stuff like that. I go by a lot of word of mouth, so it's just easier that way, because I don't necessarily, I know that when somebody calls me, and you know, our team, we look after them like they were family, and that's kind of why I got into this, because it's hard for me to sleep at night knowing somebody just went into the home and maybe don't realize the smoke detector is not wired properly, and they got kids, and
oh my gosh, yeah.
We all have bad examples in the past. But so you know, that kind of stuff, I like to make sure everybody's protected, so it's hard for me to say no to business. It really is. So we travel everywhere. I was up in Gravenhurst last week, Etobicoke the week before, Burlington. Wow. So I just kind of travel where everybody needs me, type of thing.
Yeah.
And you know, I just rather make sure that my clients are always happy and everybody's well looked after, right? So,
Can you tell me, like, one of the, I might be putting you on the spot a little bit.
No, by all means.
Just like, what's one of the craziest things you've kind of stumbled upon in a home inspection? Well, like, whoa, I can't believe that I'm seeing this right now. Is there anything?
You know what? It's funny. The nicest homes that you do go into, sometimes you find stuff in the random places, right? Yesterday, I could say I went to one in the morning, and there was an electrical outlet, and somebody's replaced it, but I guess over winter or ice hits it, and it's completely exposed. All the wiring's just out of the box. There's no cover plate, lights dangling. I'm like, whoa.
Oh my god.
No more. It's totally exposed too. So.
Like. Yeah.
Yeah, no, and there's like kids around, and it wasn't really that high up, so you kind of wonder. We told agent right away, right? But so I see that daily basis. I've been face to face with raccoons and squirrels, and
up in the attic.
Oh yeah, absolutely. I think squirrels are the worst because they kind of panic, right?
And then
oh yeah, you just want to get out. That's about it. I learned my lesson. I'll come back later, right? So and then I try to find out where they're coming out of the house at the same time, so at least. Figured two birds at one stone. So yeah, we do a lot of investigating, pet detection. You know, okay, there's obviously a trail of from rodents somewhere in the home. Okay, next question is, how'd you get in, right? So
well, and let's talk about that for a second, because I know I've heard it before that if you put mothballs in pie tins in the attic, that can be helpful from deterring rodents. Is that?
You know what? It's funny. Over the years, having a cottage, it's not a seasonal cottage, so we close it up and try to make sure nothing gets in, nothing gets out. And it sends to boats as well, because raccoons really like to get in the boats and homes and whatnot when you're not there. So yeah, until they destroy your boat, or the young ones are born in the spring, they eat the seeds. It's not always good, but yeah, we found using bounce sheets, the dryer sheets, this tends to help it if you kind of stuff it in the holes or area. I have family members that really like the cloves, the cedar, and then cedar mothballs, and
so just
I don't know, a combination of everything. My dad swears by an electrical unit that you plug into the wall. It emits like a high-pitched mouse deterrent.
Yeah, I use that in the winter when I go away to Florida.
And you know what? He swears by it. So combination of everything. That's good if you don't turn the power off, right?
Yeah, exactly.
So, there's all kinds of cases. And then the best thing is just making sure the home or property is sealed as best as you can. I know it's always hard, but
it is, especially
this time of year.
Yeah, no, absolutely.
They're going in, they're going out,
Yeah, and like a lot of the older homes, close to the water, the cottages, etc. They are older, and it's, I guess, a little easier for the rodents to get in. But what kind of destruction? Like a raccoon, like chewing wires? Could it be a fire hazard? Like, what are we?
Raccoons aren't normally so bad. Like, they'll get into like the attic and kind of make a spot for their kids and raise their family. They'll kind of come and go because they're nocturnal. They like to be out. Yeah. But like I said, the squirrels I've always found are just nuts because they get trapped inside.
Pun intended.
Really? It's kind of one of those. I guess they just kind of go kind of crazy, and
so they are causing.
I guess sometimes, but they're not as common because they're pretty smart as well. So normally it's just common field mice that come in, and then once they're in, they breed like crazy too, right? So, yeah, I know.
It's just chills.
Exactly. But there's humane ways of getting rid of them and trapping them, and
I love that.
Seeing that too, right? So,
yes,
all about that.
The humane way.
Absolutely.
Sure.
They're just trying to stay warm in the winter, just as we are too, right?
That's right.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Just not in my house, please. But anyway.
Yeah, exactly. Pick the neighbors or somebody on the street. Or, and you know what? I also find, kind of reiterating back into my thermal imaging, I found a lot of entrance ways that way that I might not necessarily would have picked up, because it's kind of down the hall or behind the drywall, or yeah, and then all of a sudden there's a dark spot or a spot that makes you kind of want to investigate a little bit more, right?
And you're finding those things.
Absolutely.
So that's great. Okay, so in terms of, I'm just trying to think what else I guess do you primarily work with first-time home buyers, or is it people, you know what, this is my fourth home, but I still believe in the home inspection process? Like,
exactly.
Who are most of your clients, or they're all over the board?
It's really shifted, I guess, because, after COVID, the home pricing spike and then mortgage rates, and there's always people that buy when it's high or buy when it's low, or sell when it's high, sell when it's low. Yeah. So it's just, those people I always just get a home inspection. I have a couple of friends of mine that they used to own their own contracting companies. I used to work with them, and they still hire me and get me in, because you know what, it gives them a piece of paper, and it gives them their full report laid out in different views that they might not necessarily see. So it's always good to have a second opinion as well, right?
And they're contractors in hiring you. So,
exactly. So it's not just,
it shows the importance of it.
Exactly. And like I said, I do it myself. When I bought my homes and our properties, and I normally go in there and I'm being told, okay, well, you can knock out this wall and this wall, and I'm looking at those things. Maybe I might have not noticed something else that's pretty minor, but maintenance-wise, it could add up in the future, right? So.
No, 100%.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay, and how long have you been doing the home inspection business?
Well, it's funny, it always started.
How did you get into it? How about that?
As I was a kid with my father, he just always made sure that, he always said, you measure twice and cut once. So we always were raised that way, and building, everything that way. And that's, I guess, why I'm relatively handy, or my wife likes to think so. My honey-do list is pretty long, I have to say, when I come home. But, at least I know when everything's built, and I know it's done right, and I have that more sense of security when my kids run around on top of their tree fort or their zip lines. Yeah, that type of thing, right? So, so I've been doing that since I've been a kid. Dad just raised me that way, and then I went to architecture for school, and then after that I've always was just in construction and building, and
it's been your life,
right? Exactly. And then after a while, everybody just kept pushing me and said, Clinton, we need you to do something that nobody else really does, right? So, and it seems to be that there's a lot of people, but they don't use the technology that we use as well, and that's really, I think, the key, and that's the way of the world now, right? So
it is, and you know what, Clinton, it's fantastic. I love that you kind of go the extra mile for your clients using those things, because ultimately, you could be saving them thousands and thousands of dollars, and
or tens of thousands easy,
or
right?
Tens of thousands, 100%.
Easily.
Listen.
Yeah, and you know what, foundations or cracks and stuff, and like I always say to my clients, whether they're new home buyers or new build buyers, or people that just want to make sure that their home is, proper and safe. Sure. Your heart is basically where your home is, right? So if you feel safe at home, everybody feels safe, and that's why we use our name and our last name in our services, because it tells you we're not just fly by night. We put a big onus on looking after everybody and making sure everybody's safe, and
we're here for the long term.
It sets the bar, and not everything is always built to code or properly, but everything can be changed or fixed or altered.
Yeah, but at least when you're making that investment, you're knowing when you hire Clinton that, here's kind of what I'm looking at, or, very seldom do you find the perfect home.
Right.
And, there's always something, there's
there's always something.
Yeah.
And, that's why they hire me, even the small things that I'm there to find out. And it's not necessarily a deal breaker. No. There's always, that's your end of things, but there's always room to negotiate or, alter your clauses and that type of thing. But sometimes 100%. Homeowners just generally don't even know. So,
You're
you know.
right.
I'm
Yeah,
doing a lot of
absolutely.
pre-home inspections because before it gets too busy, they're saying the spring. I've done, 4 or 5 in the last couple of weeks, just our pre-home inspection, because people like to know, what they maybe missed when they're painting or put the trim up, getting the home all finished, ready to go, right? So.
Yeah, anything that could slow the home selling process down. You already have the
Absolutely.
pre-inspection. It's great for,
Exactly.
prospective buyers coming in.
Right,
It
and
just helps the whole transaction go so
makes it go
better.
smoother, and and sometimes I've had the people call me back and just confirm the home inspection that I previously did too.
Yeah.
As long as the clients have, the clients that pay us that we represent, as long as they say it's okay, they can. It's all online, and we have a nice, really central hub that you can just download your PDF forms and your full report, your summary report, everything, right?
I love it.
Yeah, it's ease of use. It can go to your phone. I work 99% not from a home office. I'm normally out, right? So
Yeah, you're on the road all the time.
I'm on my laptop and my phone, and makes life easier, right?
Rolling these days. Yeah,
You have to, right?
yeah, technology.
It makes life easier, but you know what? It
does.
makes everybody, I guess, just always think about. You have more options, right? So it's easy to look us up and look up your reviews and see that okay, this is genuinely a good person, right?
Too,
Yeah,
right? Exactly.
exactly. So it's always important.
Yeah, and I know that you have a ton of great reviews as well. So that's
Well, we try, and you know what? I always go into it whenever I go into a home or even a property or vacant property, whatever it may be, is if I picture myself living in here, how would I want to inspect it, right? I want to make sure that I know there's not black mold behind the wall where my kids are going to be sleeping, right?
Yeah.
So
Terrifying.
that's important, air quality,
100%.
Exactly. It's really important to just make sure you got a sound structure and really make sure it's waterproof and you're pretty good, right?
That's
So,
right.
yeah.
A good, solid choice in investing in this home because
Exactly.
you're going to be living in it for a long time, and especially first-time home buyers. Listen, they don't have the extra money to rectify something, so to find out, oh, gee, the furnace conked out or whatever it is. So when you are going in with the knowledge of knowing that the furnace looks good, obviously you can't guarantee anything, but for the most part, like you're going in with open eyes kind of thing and all the knowledge that you need when you get the home inspected.
You try to, right? We investigate as much as we can without rip everything apart, I guess,
exactly.
if you will. And you know what? I also work with a lot of investment companies as well, and they just like the fact that they can call me and say, okay, go into this property, take a look for me, report back to me, and then let me know what you find and whether you think it's feasible or what the cost might be. Because, investments, there's always like a rental situation. Not all rentals are left in ideal condition afterwards. So let's just say that. Often I have to climb through obstacles and move things around just to get to the equipment. But you know what? It's a great source of, I guess, referrals through people as well. Yeah. So wherever I can help, that's what I always say. Just call me or text me or email me and whatever I can do to help.
Yeah.
That's why we're here, right? Yeah.
Once again, I'm going to have Clinton's information all linked below, so you can reach out to him, and he is a fantastic home inspector, and you won't be disappointed. But before we go, Clinton, thank you first and foremost for taking your time to meet with me today and kind of.
Well, thank you for having me. It's always nice chatting with you.
Yeah, it's always nice. For
time has never passed, right?
That's right, exactly. But before we go, 5 fun facts in 5 seconds or less about Clinton Harper. So, favorite sandwich?
Oh, geez, I guess maybe veal or chicken parm.
Okay.
Let's go with that, sure.
There you go. Best TV show on television right now that you're kind of like, what's your go-to right now?
I'm a sports guy, so I do a lot of hoping the Leafs might break the curse type of thing. So I follow there. If not, the boys and I watch old stuff. So.
The Leafs,
it's a curse. I don't know. You're so invested.
I know, that's right. It's in the heart. It's in the heart. Toronto Maple Leafs. Favorite place that you've ever traveled?
We just got back. I guess it was probably we we got to do some swimming with the sea turtles in St. Martin and in Megan's Bay. So that was
nice.
definitely a bucket
Love
list.
St. Martin.
Oh, it's so
They
nice.
your family must have had an amazing time.
They are, and it was one of the first big vacations we got to finally take them. They're of age that they appreciate things now. So,
and they can remember it and all of that.
Exactly, and it was nice too. I got some great shots. The sun was setting, and you're never there long enough. But yeah, this is fun for sure.
It's back to reality.
Oh yeah.
If you could wear one color for the rest of your life, what would it be? Just one. You could.
Does suntan count? Because when we were down south, having a suntan was enough color for us all. So maybe I'll pick that color. But for life, I don't know, maybe black, red. It's just more traditional.
Yeah, I know. I think I'm Johnny Cash sometimes. My whole wardrobe's black.
Right, that's okay. But you know what? It's timeless, right?
It is.
That's how it goes.
That's right. Absolutely.
Yeah.
Last question of the day. Am I an amazing interviewer, Clint?
Absolutely. Oh, you're one of my favorite. Absolutely, for sure. Like I always say, it's always like time hasn't passed.
That's right. Well,
it's always a pleasure dealing with you and speaking with you guys and your team as well. So it's always fun.
Much. Well,
Beautiful.
Clinton, I thank you so much for your valuable time. And once again, all of Clinton's links are below, so you can reach out to him. And I wish you an amazing day.
Perfect. Same to you, and stay dry.
Take care.
You take care.
Thank you. Take care. Bye.
Thanks, everybody.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.